Greetings, y'all. This is the Earth Mother. This video is going to be public on my YouTube channel, but it's specifically for the challenge that I issue in the 30-day Heal Thyself Divine Wisdom Radio group. First of all, I want y'all to know that I'm just as nervous I'm just as nervous as a lot of y'all are about doing this video. In this video, I am covering my womb story as it relates to abortion and miscarriage. So, because this is going to be a public video, it's going to be longer than the ones that y'all will probably post. So, yeah, I'm not going to say sorry. Okay, so none of this stuff has ever been said publicly. I've said it in sister circles, but I've never said it publicly. But I know it needs to be said. So, I actually lost my virginity when I was 12. I was in 7th grade. I don't even think I've ever said that out loud, but I lost my virginity when I was 12. It was not against my will. Because I'm just saying it out loud, I'm not even really sure what to say about it. I was in love for what I knew at the time, for what I knew of love, and like I said, it was voluntary. I will say that I didn't really have a lot of education about boys from my dad. I grew up in a very, not a very strict household. My daddy was very strict. My mama not so much, but for some reason, my daddy impacted me more. I'm not sure why or how, but so I grew up basically just stay away from boys. Well, I was in public school, so that was impossible. Boys, they're everywhere. They're everywhere, and a lot of them are really cute. And so I was in a pretty long relationship, actually, and I lost my virginity when I was 12. So fast forward, I was sexually active. All the time I was sexually active, it was in relationships. But I put myself in positions where I was always the good girl. I just figured out a couple of weeks ago that I put myself in those positions because my dad never thought I was a good girl. So I always ended up with boys who weren't great because comparatively they would always worship my goodness. They were always, but you're so good to me, you're so sweet, you so, whatever. And so I just figured out, like I said a couple of weeks ago, that my bad boy draw was that I was the good girl. It kind of helped or hurt the situation that I wasn't allowed to go to parties. I couldn't play cards. I couldn't go to parties. I couldn't listen to secular music. I couldn't do any of that. So it was really easy for me to play that role. Let me see. I have notes. So fast forward to 18 years old. I got pregnant and got an abortion. The reason I ended up actually getting an abortion, because in my mind, I was Christian, so, you don't get abortions. You're not supposed to have sex, but if you do have sex, you're not supposed to get pregnant. If you do get pregnant, you're not supposed to have an abortion. So, I got pregnant. I might have gotten pregnant 17, 18, whatever, but I know I had the abortion when I was 18. The reason I actually ended up getting the abortion is because the guy that I was dating, his lovely father, thrived off intimidating this guy's girlfriend as well. My dad was the same way, so he couldn't really break me, but where he got me was he put this guy's whole future in my lap. If you have this baby, he's not gonna be able to go to college, and he won't be able to do this, and he won't be able to do that. So in my head, I was ruining this guy's life. So as far as I knew at the time, my parents didn't know anything about it. So we saved money, because both of us were working. We saved money. And it came time to go to the clinic, and he spent his money on his car payment. So, needless to say, we broke up, and a guy friend of mine took me to the abortion clinic, and he paid the other half of the abortion. And he stayed with me, and he dropped me back off. Well, much to my shock and awe, not too long after that, my mom came to me and talked to me and was like, you do know that abortion is not a form of birth control. So I don't know if I left a paper out or what happened. To this day, I haven't asked her. And honestly, I just don't have the nerve. I'm 37. I still don't have the nerve. Don't judge me. That's just where I'm at with it. I remember laying on the table, because you know they give you a Valium before you go in. Well, I don't know how they do it now, but back then they give you a Valium before you go in. And so the Valium works really well. You pretty much don't care about anybody or anything or, whatever. And I'm sitting in a room. It's really warm. I remember that it was so warm and comforting. I mean, they really set the mood for what was about to happen, I guess. And I was sitting there, and I remember in this kind of drunken state, looking around at the other women, girls, whatever in the room. And I remember thinking, I don't want to be here. And I'm having this whole internal conversation. And the lady comes and gets me, and again, it was weird because I could walk and everything, but something, whatever that medicine was, it just made you literally not care what was happening. Or it made you not care to the point that you didn't act on what you thought. So I remember laying on the table and I was thinking, I shouldn't do this. I should not be doing this. Now, I'm going to tell you the interesting thing is, I didn't feel any kind of attachment. I felt morally I shouldn't be doing this. As in, Jesus is not going to be pleased with me doing this. So it's more of a moral issue. More of an imposed moral issue. Not a true moral issue. Not an internal conflict type of issue, but a church morality imposed type of issue. So anyway, I got the abortion, and I would do things like years after that, keep count on how old this child would have been and blah blah blah, and I really tormented myself in very unnecessary ways. There are a lot of lessons and things that maybe I should have known where I wouldn't even have ended up in that predicament, or at least I would have been able to call on other women or elder women to support me in my decision had I still chosen to get an abortion. But I didn't have that because of my age and religion and just how people generally don't accept abortions. What's interesting, I'll say that now, but what's interesting about that is that people don't accept abortions, but they don't examine the fact that some people just are not ready for children at that point, and you could potentially be ruining the child's life by bringing them into that situation. And they don't look at, we'll just stick with that for right now. But because everybody shouldn't have children, and I know at the point that I was at that point, I did not need children. I was wild. Not relationship wise, but I had fun. I was having fun at that point. I was a very committed girlfriend, but I wasn't mother material. And not sure I could have learned to be at that point. If anything, I think that I would have seen that child as this oppressive force that was ruining my life. And being completely honest, I'm not sure how that would have bode well for the child. At 20, I had a miscarriage. This was another young man. And I was 4.5 months pregnant. And I remember when the first part of it happened is my parents knew about it. I turned over on my stomach because I've always been a stomach sleeper. I turned over on my stomach, and when I turned on my stomach, what I know now is that my water burst. And I called the doctor, and I'm like, my water broke, and I was so scared. I still remember being gripped with fear, because I had kind of I'm gonna make it right from this abortion, make it right, because apparently I did something wrong by exercising, autonomy. And they really just literally didn't care. And they said, oh, you just probably peed on yourself. Well, I happened to have on black underwear, and I'd already checked, and it didn't smell like pee. It did, because I didn't drink a lot of water in those days, so it didn't smell like pee. It dried to this like white crust, so I knew it wasn't urine or whatever. But they just kind of whatever. So at my next appointment, things ain't looking right, and God, this was just awful. So it's not looking right. So they decide I need to have a vaginal ultrasound. If you've never had a vaginal ultrasound, it is one of the most invasive things. It's awful. And then apparently the place where I was going was a teaching doctor or something. So I had like five students plus the doctor plus the nurse all staring at my twat at the same time, and talking like I wasn't there. And that's when I found out that the baby that I was pregnant with had a severe case, I guess you call it, of spina bifida, open spina bifida, meaning that the entire a large section of the spine was completely exposed, meaning there was no spine, just bare nerves bulging out of the baby's back. And I remember thinking, because I've always been a science head, and I've always been able to kind of figure out what was going on the screens and monitors and all that stuff. It's always just kind of made sense to me. And I remember looking at it and thinking, that shouldn't be lit up like that, because they had all the veins and nerves and everything highlighted. And I remember thinking, crap, that's a lot of color up there. That's like everything's exposed. And they're literally treating me like a science experiment. And the thing that they stick up there is about this long. Of course, they don't stick the whole thing up there, but they literally just stick, back then, again, they stick the ultrasound probe or dildo, that's what it looks like, a big vibrator or something is what it looks like. And they stick a glove on the end, and then they like lube it up with extra cold lube and stick it up there, and they're just twisting and kind of jamming and ramming it, because this pussy doesn't belong to a woman. It's just something for us to look at. It was like I was a cadaver. So anyway, at this point, the baby still has a heartbeat, and I went back to my appointment. I never forget, it was Christmas Eve. And by this time, you know what the heartbeat should look like, sound like, and there was no heartbeat. And I remember feeling like really upset and really relieved at the same time, and of course really scared. It's Christmas Eve, and you just told me that I'm walking around with a dead baby, and probably have been for a while. And so the doctor says, so would you like to just wait until after Christmas to something he said? And I was like, what? Because I didn't understand the word he used. And I remember I was like, what? And he said, well, because you're going to have to go through labor and delivery to have the baby. What? Because I'm familiar with an abortion. I know how that works. But I'm 4.5 months pregnant. So he's like, and I remember just kind of blanking out, like, I can't even process what you just said. And then I can't process the fact that you seriously just asked me that I want to go through Christmas vacation with a dead baby in my stomach. And so, because in my head I'm thinking everybody's going to be, oh, how's the baby? How you doing? Blah. And I'm going to have to endure this with every family member I see. I'm going to have to endure this with every church member I see. Oh my God. Seriously? And when I think about it now, I guess the man just didn't want to have to miss Christmas, with his family. I don't know. So anyway, I was like, no, I would just want to get rid of it. I remember what I said. I was like, I want to get rid of it. I can't do this. So they put some pill up against your cervix, and it starts the contractions. And they gave me a morphine drip in a pump. And so every time, you know, it got too bad, I could push the morphine pump. And I remember that I kept forgetting to breathe. Like, I would fall asleep from the morphine, I wake up gasping or whatever. So at some point, I feel something slip from between my legs. And in this half drunken state again, it's interesting how the first thing they do is numb us for all this stuff so that we don't feel it. And then we numb ourselves after. But anyway, so, and I told my mom, my sister stayed with me. My mom and my sister stayed all night. And so I told them, and they called a nurse. And I remember I didn't reach back to try to touch it or grab it or anything. It was this thing. And I was scared. And, you know, my mom and them, they didn't reach and try to, you know, grab it or pick it up. And of course there was no life in it or anything. And they came and got the baby, and I never even looked at it. I never saw it. Yep. And so they bring back this memory box. They don't ever bring the baby back, but they bring back this memory box where they've done footprints, and, you know, they took a picture, a very blurry Polaroid picture. And of course the guy never shows up. That morning his parents come, his sister, and they're all, oh, this is awful, blah blah blah. Okay, too little too late. And then at the last possible hour, he calls. That's how I was picking them back then. And for me, that was over. Now, the interesting thing is, so now remember we're at Christmas morning. Nobody's canceling Christmas morning. I have pictures of me being hugged up and smiling and everything Christmas Day with my mom and my sister. When I look back on it now, that is some sick shit. That I pressed my feelings down so far that I was able to, you know, just smiling and going on, you know. And I remember that morning though, when I got home, and every time I closed my eyes, it was like I was flashing a hospital room. Every time I closed my eyes to go to sleep, I would flash and see the memory box. I was like, I couldn't stay awake and I couldn't go to sleep. And yeah, so anyway, we went through Christmas like nothing happened. And let me see. Okay, so about 21 years old, I got married. Yeah, to somebody else. I was in the military. And let me see. So the first miscarriage I was at 4.5 months. The second miscarriage I was at 3 months. And I don't know if I mentioned this in the first one, but anyway, I always had feelings that of guilt. The reason I was having miscarriages was because of the abortion. So my second miscarriage was at 3 months. I was married. He was an ass. It was just, that was what I was picking. That's what I thought I was worthy of, I guess. Then I had another miscarriage at 22 at 2 months. So I was constantly having to get not constantly, but like 3 times in a row within 3 years, I had to go get DNCs, which means that they're scraping, you know, your womb or whatever. Then when I finally got pregnant with my daughter, I'd had it. I remember, because my ex-husband could have worked for a pregnancy test place, because it's like he could smell it on you or something. He was like, you're pregnant. No, I'm not. And see, at this point, I'm like, I don't even want to be pregnant. I have had it. I don't want to be a gateway. Well, of course, I ain't say gateway, but I was like, I don't want no babies. Because at this point, pregnancy is associated with pain. Pure, unadulterated, unacknowledged, horrific, rage-filled, hate-filled, denied, unacknowledged pain. I don't want to be pregnant. I remember I took 3 pregnancy tests. All of them looked to be negative, except for the trash can. Right after you throw them in the trash can, they would turn positive. So, I had to go to the Air Force hospital, and they gave me a blood test, and I was cooking spaghetti when the blood test came back, and they told me to immediately come down there. Here we go to vaginal ultrasound again. It took them 2 hours of digging with the vaginal ultrasound to find my daughter in my womb. I have never felt that much internal conflict a day in my life. I was so excited, and at the same time, I did not want to be pregnant still. I just didn't. So it took me a very long time to even get attached to the pregnancy. I just acted like it wasn't happening. Strangely enough, she demanded that I ate really well. I ate the same thing every day. I would eat cucumber. It was a salad I made. Just olive oils was cucumbers, black olives, which I hated olives, but that's what she wanted. Cucumbers, black olives, cherry tomatoes, and a Caesar Italian vinaigrette and orange juice. That's what I ate every single day. Everything else gave me heartburn. And the day that I knew, or the night that I knew that she was gonna make it, is I had this dream of this beautiful chocolate baby with an afro, with this pink little onesie looking thing on. And I went, and I just felt like she gonna stay. This one is gonna stay. And I went to Target, and I walked past a rack, and it was that exact same onesie. I bought it. I didn't even know if I was having a boy or girl. I bought it because it was a almost like something to focus my faith on. Well, anyway, fast forward some years, that baby I dreamt about was actually my niece, because my daughter looked nothing like her. But she was a preemie, so my daughter was born at 7.5 months. But I was able to take enough care of her. They let her come home with me early. She was only 3.5 pounds. But like I said, they let her come home with me early because I was there 3 times a day. She only got breast milk. I knew how to operate all the machines, the little incubator. She wasn't on anything else. So, what have I done to heal? To be honest with y'all, this is my first step. Yeah, I kind of cheated because I guess I implied that I actually had done something. I haven't. This is my first step, but I just needed y'all's support. Because I'm having a really brave face on right now, but this shit is scary to me. And a lot of it still is really painful. The potential for judgment is really scary, and the memory is really painful. So, yep, here we go, waterworks. So, I don't have no tissue, so sorry. So I really just needed y'all's support. So I figured I would make it a challenge and drag y'all with me. I haven't done any healing. I am thinking now about what I'm gonna do. I still have the memory box. It's at my mom's house. So I never even like had the nerve to bring it home. But I'll create a ritual around, the children. Those spirits. So the way I felt about my womb back then, I was oblivious. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was no different than I feel about my spleen. It's necessary, but if you remove it, I won't die. That's how I felt about it. I didn't learn to be connected to it. I think when I was coming up was when they started kind of doing hysterectomies and stuff willy-nilly. So, and see, my mom she had cancer and had to have a hysterectomy, and it just didn't seem like that big a deal, because for me, being younger, that was my first real awareness of a womb. And so my mom had cancer, and that was the source of it. So take it out. It's dangerous, so hell, if I had to think of a way I felt about it, I guess that might be it. Them taking a womb out meant that my mama stayed here. Them taking her womb away meant that she didn't die. because my grandma died from a female cancer. I can't remember if it was ovarian, cervical, what it was, but I remember, my thing was, well, she died. She kept hers, she died. She didn't keep hers, she lived. So that was my feelings about my womb then. I'm working on my connection with my womb now, because I've learned to ignore my womb. I think about my womb once a month, and that's the truth. I mean, I know it's not popular, and I know I'm supposed to give some really deep answer, but I think about it once a month. I think about it when I'm creative, honestly. So all these paintings and stuff in my room, I thought about it then. I think about it when I think about all these souls that came through here. But I don't, not on a daily basis or anything like that. I think there's some healing to be done. I'm just not sure. Well, I know there's some healing to be done. I'm just not sure what it's going to look like. I found that a lot of the ways I do things are not the ways other people do things. So I guess that's why I want to stay open to what my ovary or what my womb tells me I need. So I'll probably glean from what I've learned, but this is gonna have to be all my own, just like my story is all my own. We do have shared components, but my memories are mine, my hurt is mine, my fear is mine, and my healing is mine. So yeah. What am I gonna do? I know I'm gonna use yoni eggs. I know that I'll make a ritual womb to work with. I know it will involve water and fire. I do know that. I can see that in my head now. I'm not really sure how they're gonna go with each other, but I do know that. Now, this is what I wanted to talk to y'all about, is embracing choice. A lot of the issue around the abortion issue, and even subsequently for some of us, the miscarriage issue, is guilt, is not having a right to choose. Y'all know, if you have known me for any length of time, I am a worshiper of autonomy. I told my daughter that she doesn't have to be married or have children to be fully a woman. Now, let me be clear. I do not look at abortion as a way of birth control. It is not a form of birth control. And I'll say this too. The way abortions are done, I think, is probably what causes us the most pain. What causes us the most physical pain, what causes us the most emotional and energetic pain and drain. Because, one, most of the time they're done by men. Two, they are done without regard for honoring the spirit that we are sending back to the ethers or to the universe or to heaven or to wherever you believe. We're not giving those spirits reverence. We don't give them thanks for the impact that they did have on our lives. We don't do that. We try to pretend like they never happened. We try to, to push them down. We ignore it. So I think that that's an issue. And of course, religion plays a huge part in how we view it. At the end of the day, even in nature, there are choices for female animals to have offspring or not have offspring. The truth of, because my thing is nature. The truth of it is in nature, the first child that I was pregnant with, the second child where I had the 4.5 month miscarriage, that child would have been killed in nature. Why? Because it wasn't going to be able to survive. I'm not saying that we should go around here killing kids that have deformities or other issues, but what I'm saying is we should not carry guilt if we make a choice not to bring them to this realm in that form. We have that freedom. And it is our freedom, to make that choice, because the truth of it is that so many times we bring children into this realm because we feel guilty. We should do this. We should bring them here. That's an ancestor returning, and we should let them come in whatever form they want to come in. We should let them come with whatever deformities or whatever malformities or whatever maldevelopments or whatever they come here with. Well, really, at the end of the day, if there is something that you cannot handle, I invite you to make that choice. If your life is going to be made miserable, and in turn you're going to make that child's life miserable, if you do not have a support system, if you don't know what the hell you're getting into, understand that you have a choice. The other thing is that we do what we know how to do when a time arises. I was 18 years old. I thought I was grown. I felt real grown, in my mind. But now at 37, I wasn't grown. I wasn't even close. I wasn't even grown at 22 when I finally did have my daughter. I was still 22. Oh, that was the other thing. I didn't even respect my womb enough to tell my husband no, I wasn't having sex with him. So I had a miscarriage, a 2-month miscarriage, and then I was having sex because that's what he demanded of me. So when I got pregnant with my daughter, I shouldn't, technically, I shouldn't even have ovulated yet. So where her ass came from, I don't know. But anyway, but we have choices. And as women, we have got to take back the power of our choice. These are our bodies. We are the ones who carry these souls. We are the ones who either send them back, or we're the ones who allow them safe passage. That's our choice. I hear a lot of people, talk about, because I don't know why I could never stand this, but when I would hear people say, we pregnant. We ain't pregnant. I'm pregnant. You here for support, but I'm pregnant. And I don't have no problem with other people saying that, but I'm saying for me, I have never embraced that. And that it could come from a place of who I was pregnant by. That's possible. But I think the danger in that is not understanding or losing sight of the fact that this is my body. As much as I love my husband now, and hear me good, I love my husband deeply. This is not his body though. He don't get to pick what go in it. He don't get to pick what go on it. I wear what I want to wear. I take my body wherever I want to go. I do with my body as I please. And I'm not saying that if you choose to have a baby or not have a baby, that you shouldn't have a discussion with your partner, because you do need to know what part they're gonna play. But at the end of the day, just understand that 9 times out of 10, according to the way we behave in society, regardless of what he does, you gonna be there. And a lot of women have made that choice, knowing that the man that they laid with wasn't about nothing, and chose to bring children into the world anyway. And then you get mad because he's not there. Well, sweetie, he wasn't there the whole time, but you wanted to make it something that it wasn't. You wasn't empowering yourself. And if you're gonna go it alone, just know what that means. Just understand what that means. Babies are so cute and they're so precious, and we love them. We do. We love them. I love on other people cheering like they my own. This is the thing though. I've also seen so many instances with people that just should not have children. I don't even think that they treat those children like that out of being malicious. Some of us just are not equipped to have children. You can't give somebody what you don't have. And having children is not the time for you to decide to see exactly how broken and raggedy you are. We have people out here with mental health issues, and it's a lot of us that have different mental health issues, whether it's depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, any of those things. And we need to consider the impact. What is this going to do? You know, what is this pregnancy going to do to their mental health? Are they able to actually raise a child on their own, or or with a partner, or whatever? Is this gonna be a safe place? I have seen so many people cussing children out, beating them, killing them. Well, I ain't seen anybody kill a child, but I'm saying you hear these horrible stories. These are the people that I wish had known and felt empowered to go down to that clinic. Now, I know that what I'm saying is not going to be popular. I'm not really concerned, because there's somebody that needs to hear what I'm saying. So, because I'm going to give you the freedom to make a choice. And this is going to be a black woman who is married with 2 children, with 1 abortion and 3 miscarriages under her belt, to tell you that you have a choice. To tell you that if I came up pregnant right now, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not having no more children. I have taken the necessary steps, and that's the other thing we need to talk about. But I have taken the necessary steps to make sure, to the best of my ability, that nobody comes through here. So if somebody breaks through my preventative measures, sweetie, listen. You can come back through when my daughter or my son ready to have children, but you can't come through here. I know what I want my life to be, and I've done my best to make sure that that's what it is. I will not apologize for that. I'm able to give the 2 that are here what they need, and I will not have a tribe of children that I cannot afford because somebody wants to put their morality on my head. I'm not gonna do it. It just won't happen. I'm too damn old to sit up there and let somebody else tell me what's good for me, for them to walk off and have me stuck with a whole bunch of children that I don't want. Now, like I always say, I have Facebook friends that got a slew of children, and they are happy to have all them babies, and I'm happy for them. They absolutely beautiful children. I don't want no children like that though. When I was in high school, I said I want a boy and a girl. I want to be 3 years apart. I got a boy and a girl. They 3 years apart. Me done. I just want us to get that. The other thing that I want us to get is that there are other ways to naturally miscarry, to naturally abort. There are herbs for that. Let me go back before that. There are natural ways for you to not even get pregnant if you don't want to. This comes with knowing your body. This comes with looking at the mucus that is in your yoni, in your vagina. It'll tell you whether or not you're ovulating. To pay attention to your body. When I ovulate, I feel a stitch on one side, or sometimes, both sides. Can't have no twins around here. But I feel a stitch. I know what I feel like when I done dropped the egg. You'll know how you feel. Now, my husband fine, but when he gets super fine, baby girl knows she ovulating. I know, I'm like, boy, you are not safe around my boy. I know then my behaviors are telling me that I'm ovulating. And we need to teach this to our girls about how to pay attention to their bodies, to know what signals your body is sending you. We need to tell them about how to avoid pregnancy until they're ready. We need to also tell them that if you mess around and get pregnant and you're not ready, to empower them to make that choice, and also help them to figure out what happened that you ended up pregnant when you didn't want to be and you took the proper precautions. That's how I feel about it. And that's part of my, and that's part of my womb healing. That's part of my healing from abortion, from the abortion and the miscarriages, is empowering myself to know that I have a choice. Because that's a big one for me. I was born and raised in the church. I was a minister and all that stuff. So that crap gives you a whole lot of guilt. And I didn't carry that guilt for a long time. But on today, I'm letting it go. I am not carrying that guilt anymore. So this is part of my healing process. Here we go. You're witnessing it live and direct. I'm not carrying that shit no more. It's not mine to carry. I did what I knew how to do at the time. I did what I could with the amount of support I had and didn't have. the people around me did what they knew how to, what they knew how to do with the knowledge and support that they had. We all did what we knew how to do. Well, now that I know better, I'm going to teach better. I'm going to do better. I continue to learn better. And I'm going to continue to pass the message of empowerment and self-love. So, yeah. That's the first leg on my healing. The rest of it will probably be ritual and things like that. But, yeah. My first step is to love myself in that area, because I think maybe that's the area I didn't. Let me tell you, with the self-love journey, you always gonna find some area, some little crevice, some little dusty, cobwebby crevice that you don't love yourself like you should. So yeah, I'm gonna love myself enough to release the guilt that I shouldn't have never carried to start with. It's my body. I do with it as I please. I do as well as I know how to do at the time. And then whatever I learn later, they tell me I didn't do it right, give it a nod, say thank you kindly, and keep moving, let it go. Yeah. So embrace yourself, love yourself, let the guilt go, and embrace your empowerment and your autonomy. Your body is yours. Your womb is yours. Love her. Love you. And learn and teach and heal those around you. Again, this is the Earth Mother. Thank y'all so much for watching, and thank y'all in advance for the beautiful, scary, painful, healing stories that I know y'all are going to share, because y'all always come with it. I love y'all deeply and passionately. I pray bliss and abundance and healing and a release for all of those watching and for all of those participating in my challenge. And I'm grateful to each and every one of y'all. So, Odabo.